Hi, Adam. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody for coming. My goodness, this is really nice. And you all came to you did just watch the Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah, the first.
The one I'm in?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, let's just watch the episode you're in. So my first question is, how was your flight to get here?
Yeah, you know, luckily my flight was fine. But when we made the episode, the set they built was a beautifully made set that really looks and feels and even smells like a real plane. It just felt like you were on a plane. So after a couple of hours, we all just felt like we were on a flight. And so it ended up, shooting the episode ended up feeling like a 12-day flight. And everyone started going crazy. I asked the director at one point if he could get me another blanket. It's like, I don't do that. I just direct TV shows. But so everybody kind of fell into their travel habits, like taking naps. And like we were all, it was really on this metal tube for 12 days and quite claustrophobic, which I think comes across in the episode.
Are you usually afraid of flying?
You know, I used to be a bit of a nervous flyer, but I'm really not anymore. It's I don't know why. You know, there's just a certain point where you get over it.
So this is the comeback of the Twilight Zone. You said on Twitter it was one of your favorite shows. When did you first meet the Twilight Zone?
I discovered the Twilight Zone, I believe I was 11 or 12.
Oh, it's young to discover the Twilight Zone.
I guess so. But I think that it hit me at the perfect time for whatever reason. I think, you know, it was this summer Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out too, so my mind was expanded and it sort of formed my whole personality that one summer. So I discovered it was on every night at 11 p.m. On the local station where I grew up, and so I would wait all day for this Twilight Zone episode, a new episode that would air every night, and it just sort of split open my imagination and just fell in love with storytelling and science fiction.
It was the original.
The original, yeah, the black and white original Rod Serling version. And it's been one of my favorite shows ever since.
How would you define the Twilight Zone? Because it's well known, but in France we don't know the show that much. So how would you define it for the French audience?
I think it's a show that very much reflects the time we live in. I think one of the things the Twilight Zone always did really well was they were able to reflect back the anxieties of the time it was made in. I think, you know, you think back to the original version, there's a lot about the Red Scare at the time in American culture, a lot of episodes that are commenting on groupthink and this mob mentality, which actually this episode touches on a bit at the end. And through sort of a refracted view, it reflects back what's happening in the society at the time it was made. And so I think right now is a really
good moment for it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a perfect time for Twilight Zone.
It's the best show to deal with American anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now in American politics, a lot of people have been saying, like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, just watching the news every night.
Yeah, so Jordan Peele is the producer and the host of this new show. He's huge. He's the master of horror nowadays. Can you tell us, what did he bring to the show, to your mind?
Well, I think anything Jordan is doing nowadays, he's bringing a lot to it. I mean, the first time I saw Get Out, aside from just generally loving the movie, I remember thinking, this is like a Twilight Zone episode that's been expanded into a feature. And so when I heard that he was rebooting the Twilight Zone, it made perfect sense. He's just an incredible storyteller, and is really able to tell stories that resonate in 2019, while at the same time he's able to create these stories that feel timeless.
Strangely, the first Twilight Zone deals with common people, but in the comeback, you're more an intellectual. In the next episode you're going to watch, there's a comedian, there's a filmmaker. It feels like Jordan Peele wants to mirror the good American society and show their fear. Do you agree with that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't catch the entire question. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's the best way to.
Okay, sorry.
So I said
but I'm going to agree with you anyway.
That's fine. So I said that you're on the show, you're an intellectual, a good guy, and then you're becoming the worst. And it feels like for Jordan Peele, it's a way to mock the good American society.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's good that I ended up agreeing with you because I had already previously. Yeah, I think that the fact that they were able to squeeze, and it was one of the hat tricks of the original show as well, as being able to squeeze that much story into the half-hour format and get you to care about these people, create a whole character arc in a short amount of time. And so the fact that we were able to take this character in Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, starts at one place, and then by the end he's a completely different person as far as the story is concerned, is pretty extraordinary.
The main point of each episode of the Twilight Zone is, if that was happening to you, how would you react? So, how would you react if that was happening to you?
I think probably similar. I mean, I think anyone...
You would have crashed the plane?
Well, I hope not. I would do my best not to put so much trust in Chris Dianatopoulos' character. First of all, that guy's shady. Yeah. But I think anyone would, hear that podcast and see that it's getting pretty specific with what's happening on the flight, and try to do something to get out of it.
The episode deals with inner paranoia and kind of prejudice, misjudgment. How is it accurate towards the contemporary American society, this inner paranoia?
Well, I think...
Yeah, tough question. Yeah.
I think there's certainly some inner paranoia happening within a lot of people, but I think also technology, which is supposed to be simplifying our lives, is only complicating it and only exacerbating a lot of that inner paranoia.
Do you agree with your character? Do you really understand him? Because he's really a maniac.
Do I really understand the character?
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, playing the character, you try not to think of the character as a maniac or crazy. You just try to do what you're trying, just try to accomplish the goal that's in front of you.
What is the moral of this story? That you don't have to listen to podcasts anymore?
Yeah, don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that's the best way.
They will only end badly.
The end. Let's talk about the end and the horrible ends. Why? What does it say to our society?
The way the episode ends?
Yeah, and your slaughter, actually.
I don't know. What do you think it says?
Actually, I don't really know what's the point. I don't know if that's a commentary on American society or universal society.
That we're just sort of
maniacs
looking for scapegoats,
yeah,
and pouncing on top of them. we create scapegoats and then all jump on top of them and destroy them. I don't know. I'm actually just thinking of this right now. I don't know.
It says that even the smartest guy can be the worst when they're afraid.
Yeah, and he didn't have to pick that iPod up in the first place.
Don't listen to podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you're dead into the Twilight Zone, are you ready to jump to Black Mirror? Jump to Black Mirror, the English show. Do you know it?
Oh, yeah. Black Mirror is terrific.
Yes? You're ready to go to Black Mirror?
Sure. I don't know. They may exist in different dimensions. I don't know if it's possible.
Do you understand the craving we are to fantastic stories and horror storytelling nowadays? Do you understand them? The huge success of Us nowadays. Do you understand it? The scary story, the huge for a scary story.
I think scary stories have been around as long as stories have been around. So I think it's always been fun to listen to a scary story, and that's one of the great things about what Jordan's been doing in movies is sort of reinventing the horror movie in a way that is commenting on what's going on in society right now, while at the same time delivering good old-fashioned scares.
This is a really political show for you, The Twilight Zone.
I guess it could be. It depends on how you look at it.
So it's dependent on the viewer. We have to.
I think so.
Yeah. So the character starts as a good guy and then becoming the worst. Do you think they choose you because you can either play the perfect boyfriend in Parks and Rec and then suddenly be a demon in The Good Place?
Perhaps. Maybe that explains everything. That's what happens to Ben Wyatt.
Which one are you? Are you the demon of The Good Place or the perfect boyfriend of Parks and Rec?
Oh my God, I'm the perfect boyfriend. Are you kidding?
You also play the good husband in Big Little Lies, playing with Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, and maybe Meryl Streep soon. Is that part of the Twilight Zone for you?
Yeah. No, it was great. I think season 2 is going to be really satisfying for everybody. There's a lot of, I can't say anything about it.
Oh, come on. We are into the Twilight Zone now, and no one listening, so you have to say.
This is all going to disappear.
Yeah, it's going,
right.
yeah. The audience going to promise they don't tell anyone what you're going to say.
If you come up to me one at a time, I'll tell you everything.
Okay.
The season is really juicy. It's great. I think everyone's gonna have a lot of fun watching it.
Recently, there were Parks and Rec's gathering, and there was kind of a talk about a rerun, maybe a comeback. Is it going to happen, or is it going to happen into the Twilight Zone?
You know, the show has only been off the air for 4 years.
Yeah, but we need Parks and Rec to come back, really.
I don't think so. I'm not the person to ask, but I feel like the show really ended well. It ended as well as a show could, and really was satisfying. It showed where all the characters went with their careers and their families and their careers and families. And I think that that's a perfect way to end a show. And I think it's good to just leave it alone. But I'm also not the one who decides that sort of stuff.
But if it was happening, would you be up for it?
I mean, if Mike and Amy wanted to, but I think, and it seemed at the Peele Fest, it was pretty settled that where it ended was where everyone wanted it to end.
It was a really political show in a way. It talks about fraternity, about the way politics could do things better. So Parks and Rec would be a really good medicine nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think thinking about what Leslie Knope would do in these
we all think about that.
It's a great North Star, morally, ethically, politically. So yeah, but I think watching the series as it is just as good as watching new episodes. I mean, the show was never about exactly what's going on right now. It's all pretty timeless and evergreen, the issues it was talking about. So I think it's a good antidote anytime.
With Parks and Recs, Party Down, and even The Good Place, you're part now of the pop culture. How does it feel to be pop?
Yeah,
you're a meme, you're a GIF, you're everything.
Yeah, I'm a voracious TV watcher. I watch everything almost. And so to be a part of that pop culture is terrific and super weird.
Weird in a way?
In a good way, in a great way. I love watching television, but I also love making television. There's nothing more fun.
Will you come back to The Good Place?
You know, that's completely up to...
You're my favorite character in The Good Place.
Thank you.
You're the best horrible person in the world.
Oh, that's great. You guys like The Good Place
on Netflix,
in France.
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
great.
Yeah, The Good Place.
Oh, good. That's great. That's completely up to Mike Schur. We're friends, and so whenever he feels like having me, just ask me, and I go over and do it. So when it's an incredible cast, and the crew, it's a lot of the same crew from Parks and Rec. So it's so fun to go and do the show.
Yeah, it could have been an episode of the Twilight Zone, The Good Place, but a really extended
crossover.
One.
That's right.
A crossover. So, are you ready for crossover?
Yeah, we're doing it. We just made it official right now. We're doing the crossover.